Okay, Jessica Chastain, Miss Sloane is going to be opening soon. What about the script when you first read it really involved you and made you want to be her?
Well, when I first read the script, I thought, who is this Johnny Pereira? And is it Aaron Sorkin writing under an alias? Because it really felt like an Aaron Sorkin movie. I had been obsessed with West Wing. I grew up on it. And I was so impressed with the subject matter, the skill and the intelligence of the script, but also this is a movie that passes the Bechdel test many times over. It's an ambitious, over-prepared, one step ahead of you woman that actually mentors other women and takes them under her wing. And I was really excited to get to play a character like that and to put that out into the world.
It's so funny you said Aaron Sorkin. Our editor, Marcus Dixon, when we walked out of the screening, he said, that feels like Aaron Sorkin wrote that movie. It's so fast paced. The dialogue is quick. There's twists. There's turns. That's why he said that. So you picked a great one.
Well, it's John. It's what's crazy is it's Johnny's first script. He used to be a lawyer. He quit the day that he paid off his college debt. He moved. I think he was he was in China. He was in South Korea, and he was teaching English while he decided, you know what, I'm going to try to write a script and see how that goes. And then after he wrote it, he just like submitted it to people. He got representation. It got sold to Film Nation. And the very first person he met was John Madden. I guess that was in the industry. So really, it's such a incredible story of someone who thinks like, hey, I think I can write a screenplay. And boy, did he.
When you've got a script like that as an actress, I've talked to other Aaron Sorkin actors over the years, and they talk about there's so much more words per script than any other script they read. Does that change how you prepare at all?
It absolutely does, because it's a lesson in dexterity. I felt like I was back in school at Juilliard taking speech classes where you're going, what to do to die today at a minute or two to two. You know, you're doing all of these exercises almost to warm up your mouth, because you have to make sense with what you're saying. You have to be able to say it at a breakneck speed. Elizabeth Sloane is she operates at a much faster engine than I do. And I would take some lines that I were stuttering, like for example, there's a line, cynicism is a word used by Pollyannas to denote a lack of the naivete they so keenly exhibit. So hard for me to say that. And I would just sit there and I'd drill it over and over and over and over again. So by the time I got to set, I could act it and not worry about what am I saying? How fast am I saying it? I actually could be in the moment because my mouth had caught up.
And you have to think through how you're going to put those words together too. You just can't say them. They have to really flow off the tongue as if she's just coming up with that.
Exactly. She's much smarter than me. Elizabeth is much smarter than most people I know. And that's also something that's intimidating to play, because how do you play someone that has a greater intellect than yourself? And it just really is in the preparation. The words have to come out like she can't be searching for the words to say. I mean, it just has to be there. As soon as she thinks something, she says it. And it means that there's no, you can't go slow with memorizing.
In this world of Washington lobbyists, I think the only people more hated than Washington politicians are Washington lobbyists. Was it hard to get into that skin?
I didn't know anything about Washington lobbyists, and the way I started researching it is I read Jack Abramoff's book. He's a lobbyist that ended up in jail, and so I thought this might be a good place to start with kind of learning that whole profession. And I was shocked by how much money a lobbyist could make. I didn't really understand that. Then our production had a consulting firm, a lobbyist consulting firm that they had lined up for the project. And I was very excited to meet him, but I wanted to also meet with women, because what I had read is less than 10% of lobbyists are women. And I wanted to know what it was like, the struggles that they went through in navigating kind of I guess, this men's club of DC politics. So I Googled a list of like the most successful lobbyists, female lobbyists, put a list together, called their offices, and spent a weekend in DC meeting with everyone. And it was really invaluable to me, because I had stereotypes and I imagined how I'd play the character, which was completely shattered after I met these women. I thought I would have no makeup and wear the same clothes over and over and over again. And then when I met these women, and 7 out of the 11 were wearing black nail polish, and they had almost these masculine silhouettes and high heels, and they presented themselves. The way they looked was very intimidating. It was intimidating for me. So I could only imagine what it would be like for people in DC.
Well, she plans every step of the way like a chess player, way ahead of everybody else. But right at the beginning, or near the beginning of the movie, she takes on, even maybe even surprising herself, a principled action that's going to affect her and a lot of other people.
That's true. Also the character, for me, it's interesting because for me, it was also a study of addiction. Elizabeth Sloane is addicted to winning. And she gets a high. Like, the more difficult the case is, the bigger the win. It's her competitive spirit. And when she first takes on this issue of this gun regulation bill, it's about that it's the unwinnable case. And so for her,
that's all she had to hear. Those words, unwinnable, and that was it. That
was it for her. She sees people as collateral damage. And she doesn't really understand the effect of what she does. And it isn't until she meets Esme that her ideas of people are changed, and she starts to feel responsible for other people's feelings. And then towards the end, I think it's an incredible arc for an actress, because she goes from taking the case for selfish reasons to almost a self-sacrificing nobility, which you don't get to play a lot. Especially as an actress.
Yeah. Well, we're big film history nuts, and I'm wondering, it sounds like with your Juilliard background and working with so many great filmmakers, you probably have a sense of film history too. I think of her as like a crusader in a way, like an Erin Brockovich or a Norma Ray, or female characters like that took on a cause and just could not be stopped. Did you think at all about where she might land in film history?
I did, because I find, in the beginning, I thought this movie was so timely in terms of the gun debate, but then also looking at this current time and this political presidential election, and seeing when Hillary Clinton, after the first debate, is being criticized for being over-prepared. And I look at women in media and how they're supposed to be seen and how they're supposed to behave. I definitely see that this character could be, I don't know. You don't want to talk about the importance so much of film you've done, but for me, it was important as a woman to see a character that was overprepared, that was one step ahead, that was a perfectionist, that was also incredibly flawed, that was a crusader. We see men oftentimes being the rebels and the renegades and fighting for the cause, and there's the good of the many over the good of the few. But to see a female character do that was really exciting, and I hope that she holds her place in film history because of that.
You mentioned a couple of times how just thrilled you were as an actress to get this kind of role. Was she hard to leave behind when you finished that last day of shooting?
She was absolutely not difficult to leave behind. I was exhausted. To be honest, I was very exhausted. One week we shot 24 pages, and we were shooting the section in the offices. So basically I speak the whole time during those 24 pages. And while she's talking, she's typing emails, she's marching down corridors, she's gathering files, she's barking orders to people. She moves at such like I said, a breakneck speed that when it finished, I could finally understand Elizabeth Sloane being at the edge of a burnout. She had brought me there with her.
A couple of career kind of questions. We're an awards website. Now that you've had a little time to reflect on your first Oscar nomination, what was like a favorite memory from that experience?
My favorite memory was bringing my grandmother. I brought my grandmother as my date to the Oscars. And, you have so much nerves, especially because it was the first year that I was in the public eye. And there's so much attention around an award ceremony like that you get intimidated and you feel insecure and you feel like you don't belong there. But having my grandmother there and looking at her, looking at me, felt like it took it out of my experience. And I got to see the look on her face, and I'll remember it for my whole life. how much it meant to me, because she made many sacrifices and has been so supportive of my career. And she told me that day it was the best day of her life. And so,
Oh, wow.
yeah, it was probably one of the best day, if not the best day of my life as well.
And just before that ceremony, you had been singled out along the way, individually, but I think for you and a lot of people in the industry, getting a SAG Ensemble Award with the whole cast, that just had to be a thrill.
Yeah, we were shocked. We were freaking out about that because all of us ladies, we loved each other and we loved making that film in Greenwood, Mississippi, and we were so excited. It went beyond anything we imagined because we were the underdog. I mean, when we were shooting this movie, no one was interested in it. I only got my part because many other famous actresses denied it. So the help, it was not something we imagined was going to be this huge success. And when we got on that stage with that SAG Ensemble Award, and it was mostly women in a time where they weren't really making movies with that many female characters, it was so incredibly emotional.
What I love about this award season in particular, you, Octavia, Viola, Emma Stone, you've all are not only working, but you're making very wonderful projects, and you might be running into each other a lot over the next few months.
Yeah, I've always been, I love my girls, and I've always been a big advocate for their work. And I've said many times, I don't know why Viola Davis isn't in every single movie, because I think she's one of the greatest actresses working today. I can't wait to see everyone's films, because now this is my favorite time of the year to watch movies. And I'm so excited to see what my ladies from The Help have been up to.
Yeah, I've seen several of them already. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's such a fun year this year, I believe. Well,
Have
speaking of,
Viola? Have you seen Viola's?
no, but I've been invited to. Well, I won't say.
But you're
I'm gonna get a little sneak preview here pretty soon.
Good. Well, I hope it's amazing.
Oh, you know it will be. Oh, the last question. Speaking of seeing movies a lot, you've been an Oscar voter for a little while now, and I bet you're one of those that takes that very seriously. I always, whenever I've got an Oscar voter on one of these chats, I always like to ask toward the end, when you got the ballot in front of you, what kind of is going through your mind? You don't have to give specific names, but what types of performances really trigger your emotions?
I guess when I'm voting, I look at the role and then I say, could another actor have played that part? Like if we put, and I try to think of great actors and I try to put them in those parts and I go, would it be the same movie? Did this person who did this role, did they bring something forward that no one else could do? And that to me is a big factor when voting. And also I'm really interested in something that creates a discussion, creates a conversation, moves the needle in society. Because yes, we're entertainment. That's at the bottom of the line, that's what we are. We're show business. We're, and we're here to entertain, but also I'd like to think of films as a way of looking at society and holding the mirror up and questioning who we are and where we're going. And I like the idea of someone coming into a movie and then leaving, being affected in a way that they weren't before.
In your life of watching movies, what's a couple of performances that you just adore?
Isabelle Huppert and everything she does. She's my favorite. I mean, I don't know. I steal all the time from her when I'm acting. I saw her in The Piano Teacher. When I was at Juilliard, I would go to the Lincoln Plaza Cinema, and I had no idea what I was walking into, and I went in to see The Piano Teacher, and it completely changed my idea of what an actress could be. I love that she doesn't put, she keeps her secrets. There's a nobility to the way that she acts. And I like performances where I don't know everything about the character and I have to lean forward and try to figure them out. And I feel that that's what she does in everything.
Wow. Well, I feel like that's what you did here in Miss Sloane. I told you before we started, this is one of my favorites of the year. And I hope it's a big box office hit, but I hope we get to see you on some of these awards red carpets as well.
Oh, thank you. That's really nice of you to say.
Thanks so much.
It's nice talking to you.